Alright, hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, episode 64. It is the 29th of Spooky-tober 2021. I'm your host, Michael Deebs. I don't know, we didn't plan anything Halloween-oriented here. As always, joining me is Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle @DankDeLuz. Also joining me, John the producer from the Instagram handle @Discopathic. Gentlemen, how are we doing today? Starting with John, I guess, who I would like to point out is getting more heavenly with each recording, as he's gone from some kind of twilight to now we are in the setting sun realm of laying together on the beach or something is the lighting that I see over there.
I can feel the sand in my crack.
Yeah, and why I look more and more heavenly is because every day is because I feel myself dying more and more
Wow,
every day.
How old are you?
Yeah.
Can I ask?
I'm 32. Yeah.
Okay, well, you have one more year left to be alive, based on what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I think that is what it is. This is just, the podcast is just me getting closure.
Oh,
Yeah.
John,
you on your way up to Calvary.
Danko, you are dressed as the carpet from The Shining. I'm actually surprised that your frame isn't like more narrow. What do they call it?
Oh yeah, we got to do the Kubrick. I can try to figure that out. Should we pause?
Nah, let's not worry about it.
Do you want to spend effort on this podcast?
The Kubrick framing? No, we're okay.
Yeah, I even have. Well, no, it's what is he drinking in that? He's drinking bourbon. I'm pretty sure, but it's not whatever I'm drinking now.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a specific one, isn't it? Whatever. I am Kubrick.
Oh.
I've decided.
Okay. Do we ask you about the moon landing, or is that like
you can later? I'll lie to you. But yeah. No, I actually kind of resent the fact that no one else is ready for Halloween stuff, because I have my very intricate costume, and I also already have a Halloween name prepared. So.
Okay. Well.
No, it's just Dorian.
Oh.
My real name is Dorian.
That's your.
I'm named after a spooky book.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
The picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah, we're not funny yet today, guys.
No.
Yeah.
Not doing a great job at that. Let's. Oh man, it's not gonna get funnier when we move into the content. What we have planned today. What I threw a bunch of links at this podcast today is on the infrastructure bill, which isn't funny.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Okay, the first, it's gonna be like haha sad kind of.
Yeah.
Because
that's the only funny we know here, I think.
The first clip I have is this poor gentleman who, he means well, and I've got nothing against him. He's a union leader guy, and he's talking up the infrastructure bill, and this is from the 25th. And he mentions a bunch of things that, as of the 28th, are no longer in the bill or have been like altered substantially to the point where they're like not even effective anymore.
That's pretty fun. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's funny, and like, man, that guy must really feel. I don't know, betrayed, kind of, I guess is what, because we're talking about the Democratic Party here.
Yeah.
All these negotiations are happening within the party that has the power right now.
Right.
Republicans were like invited in initially, which was like a dumb move because Biden just kind of let them like strip a couple of things out, and he's like, "All right, that's the deal, Jack, and we're gonna move on." And now everything is happening in house with the Democrats, and the Democrats can't get their own shit together really because you've got Manchin and Sinema are like the people that are being pushed out in the front, but there's also Gottheimer and people like Schumer that he's like the leader of the Senate, Democratic Senate, and he's just like MIA. Like
Hell yeah.
I was listening to the Majority Report earlier, and Sam said, like, if you told me that Schumer has been vacationing in Florida for the last 3 weeks, I would believe, because I haven't seen this guy. And
Yeah.
I agree with that point. You also have other Democratic leaders like it's out of the House now, but Pelosi hasn't like made really any public statements. She's actually like fluffing the bill up and calling Biden like a better than Roosevelt and LBJ combined.
What?
Yeah, it's like obvious bullshit. So let's go ahead and start with this first clip. We'll let the gentleman introduce himself. I've got some timestamps that I'll stop you at. The first one is 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you just want to stop at 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
All right.
And if we need to stop before then of course. But
All right.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. My name is Joseph J. Williams. I am a fourth-generation railroader and proud union member of the Transportation Division of the Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, Local Number 800. I serve on the New Jersey State Legislative Board as the Vice Chairperson, representing our brothers and sisters in the transportation industry. I was born here and live here in New Jersey with my wife of 25 years, Krista, who is a certified school nurse, and our 3 children, Matthew, 22, Amanda, age 20, and Jason, age 14. I started my railroad career over 25 years ago in 1996, right here at the MMC, under a locomotive here in the diesel shop. In 1998, the opportunity came up for me to leave the tools, as we railroaders say, and become a locomotive engineer. I entered the locomotive engineer training program and was promoted to the rank of locomotive engineer in June of 1999, and still work as a locomotive engineer every day. If I could steal a little bit of your thunder, Mr. President, I would like to thank our governor, Phil Murphy, and New Jersey Transit Rail Operations Executive Director, Kevin Corbett, for helping to ensure that New Jersey Transit becomes the #1 transportation agency in the country.
This is
I would
thrilling.
also be remiss if I...
what's that?
now?
This is thrilling.
Yeah, we're gonna get to
Yeah.
some better stuff. It's coming.
Yeah. Did they take this guy hostage?
I think so. He looks afraid.
Yeah.
This is funny in the way that like a Tarkovsky film is funny. Where it's just like a 32-minute just silent shot of like a child crawling into bed.
Yeah. We'll move into some rapid action in like a minute or so. Don't worry.
My wife and my daughter, who is 37 years old, my son 14, my other daughter 32, my uncle 67, her aunt 94, my grandfather's aunt 77.
This is a salt of the earth character, okay?
No, and that rules, I guess.
It's more fun if you watch the sign language interpreter just going wild.
Yeah. No, it's like she's trying to like liven it up, or like maybe she's like telling everybody like it's okay. This man has not been kidnapped.
Yeah, she's just lying.
He's happy to be here.
Yeah, if you listen closely, there's like Morse code that he's tapping onto the desk.
Yeah. She's just like she's just signing out, waiting for Godot the whole time.
Jesus.
That's
Continue, John.
I didn't thank my congressman, Tom Malinowski, for his role in the bipartisan infrastructure bill.
Now she's talking shit.
I think she is, yeah.
She's
I
Sign
personally
language is
believe
very
the
expressive.
current infrastructure bill is important to New Jersey Transit rail operations, the residents of New Jersey, and our neighboring states. The funding would rebuild and modernize our aging transportation network. The rehabilitation of our system will help to preserve and create new railroad jobs. Thank you, President Biden.
And just so we know, we're not listening to this whole 24-minute thing because Joe gets up here and he starts, come
This
on,
bill
man, and
will also
everything.
help make
Go ahead.
accessibility upgrades to our stations, providing better public transit access to our residents who are mobility impaired and require special assistance, and will also help to continue New Jersey's goal of creating more transit villages. The expanding of the Gateway project is something that the entire region is in desperate need of.
I'm sorry.
Our bridge and tunnel system into and out of New York is antiquated.
He saw
and
the
unreliable.
glint of the sniper rifle.
The general riding public that depends on this system to get to and from work deserves better. Other projects that will be funded by President Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan are service from Scranton to New York on the old Lackawanna cutoff, as well as the desperately needed Hunter flyover track.
All right, now we're going to get into some substance.
Offering pre-K in the reconciliation bill is now more important than ever, as hardworking parents need to get to work earlier than most in order to help keep our economy moving forward.
All right, go ahead and pause right there.
The child tax credit also offers.
All right, so go to the next link in line. So on top of pre-K was also posited or put forward that they would fund K through 12. I think at the time that he's saying this is after K through 12 was trimmed. So this is something that's already been trimmed for the bill by the time that this guy's talking. Pre-K is still in, thankfully. However, I think parents need to like send their kids to school for the rest of childhood too.
I guess.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to nap, like you're fine though.
Nap time's the most important school lesson. Go ahead and roll it for another until 3:55 is when I have another.
Offers parents the opportunity to help get ahead slightly in these times of economic need. Mr. President, the residents of New Jersey can really use the SALT deduction to be reinstated.
All right, so go to that second link from there. So I have it linked directly to where we needed to be.
Okay.
Pelosi held out the possibility of passing both bills next week, but some lawmakers are pushing to include measures like federal drug price controls, paid leave, and a repeal of the federal deduction for state and local taxes known as SALT, all of which were dropped from Biden's plan. So this is like
Hell
2
yeah.
days after this guy is talking. The SALT deduction that he mentions that would be like really good for his workers and whatnot is dropped.
So what's happening here is,
This poor
I mean,
man.
the first part makes sense, where Joe Biden ended up kidnapping a railroad conductor,
Yes.
which we all saw coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he forced him to tell him all of his dreams, and then he crushed them 2 days later with Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, this is some kind of sick game they're doing.
Yeah, this is Saw. We're watching.
You know,
watching
this is
Saw right
this is
now.
interesting. You're usually like the voice of reason when I start going on insane political theories, and you are telling everyone that Joe Biden kidnapped a railway engineer
Yeah.
and forced him to talk at gunpoint.
I mean, I guess last time I was talking about how concrete is a parasitic organism trying
Yeah,
to destroy
we,
the biosphere. So I think
did we already
we've
jumped
broken.
the shark in the podcast, or
Yeah, I think it happened.
oh, okay,
I'm not wearing a shirt right now.
that's true. It's very open chested, which is is
Yeah.
a bold move.
Good luck for me, you know.
Yeah. Go back to the video.
I can make
and
my
we're gonna-
titties dance.
Let's go back to the video and roll it until 4:30, where he's going to talk about the last thing before he kind of signs
Lastly,
off
Mr.
anyways.
President, we feel that the Paid Family Medical Leave Act is vital to help working families secure a place in the workforce in their time of need. To care for a sick child, spouse, or family member without having to worry about losing pay or if their job will still be there because of having to render bona fide assistance to a family member, or if the unfortunate circumstance arrives that they themselves need medical assistance. It is now my time
You can go ahead and pause
to
it
introduce
here.
to you the transportation.
And we're not going to go back to that. 3 links down. National paid this is a headline from the Guardian. There's more substance in the actual article, but we really just kind of need the headline. National paid family and medical leave reportedly cut from U.S. reconciliation package. It hasn't like officially come out that it's cut, but everybody inside the process is saying, yeah, it's gone. And I think actually this was yesterday that this article was out, and I think like it's actually been confirmed now that it's gone. Yeah, like what 3 of the 4 things he mentioned are either significantly reduced or cut. I feel bad for that guy because I think he probably wanted to make all these kind of things happen. Probably felt like he was helping by getting up there.
Like
and
as
then,
much as we've made fun of him for being boring, because these things are always boring. He's the good guy here, obviously.
no, and that's why I feel bad for him because he's really just kind of been pushed out in front of the cameras to say a bunch of things about a bill that would benefit him and his workers in a good way, and it should be something that happens, and now all those things are fucking gone. So
it's like watching a train wreck.
Yeah, hey, because
he's a train man.
Let's go to the next link. Oh, okay, yeah. Here's where it was actually confirmed that paid family leave is gone. 2 days after he gave his speech. Let's go to the link after, and so what the White House framework cut out: paid family leave, Medicare negotiation of drug prices. Scroll down, please. Expanded Medicare coverage of dental and vision. For some reason, we still don't believe that teeth and eyes are part of the human body that needs to be like taken care of, I guess.
I mean, can you prove that they are?
Fair enough. Could you imagine if we did this podcast without teeth or eyes?
Where we're going, you don't need teeth to see.
If we're gonna talk about concrete, I've never seen concrete. I don't know what concrete is really, except it feels rough.
It tastes terrible.
You can't gum the concrete
your way through
into food. Yeah.
You're just gumming. Well, that's the way you find your way through the wasteland, because the smoke is so thick anyway. You're just
running your gums across the fucking concrete. Because they're the only part of your body that still feels anything.
Yeah, everything else is just sandblasted away.
That's how they make sandworms. We're just gonna become little sandworms. Also cut free community college, increases to the top corporate tax rate.
Good thing no one ever learns any vocational skills in community college.
Yeah. Which is one of the points I was gonna make is, not a huge fan of STEM lords or anything like that, but or low level engineering degrees are important for just running like day-to-day operations of an infrastructure like rejuvenation project, I guess.
Just taking a class on how to fucking like make a bench is probably good for the world.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, just just learning some basic skills and having like a little bit of higher education to kind of, you know, pad whatever skills you picked up as a younger individual, whatever.
Yeah, but
It's,
just imagine like all of the all the money that the government would have to spend, or how much they would lose by not getting that loan money that people could for
right.
that's 2 extra years, man. Ooh.
True, yeah. How could they ever recoup that?
And you know, to be fair, this only really hurts again like middle class, because you know anyone that is sufficiently without you know, is able to get something like the FAFSA for at
sure.
least a good amount of time at first.
Yeah.
And so of course it's an attack on the poor, because everything in this country is an attack on the poor, but these are also the people that are like, oh man, we got to help out the middle class. The middle class is the only thing we want to help. We want to help people get to the middle class. It's like, no, that's always the person that's getting punished
Well,
with this kind of stuff.
and what it also does is, yeah, it's not an attack on the poor necessarily, not specifically,
Right.
but as an attack to make more poor.
Exactly. Yeah.
When
Because we want poor people, right?
Yeah.
It's
when you remove the ability for a you know, middle class family to send their children to community college, then they become poor in the next generation. That's typically how it works. And obviously college is not the end all be all, because
No.
even now college degrees aren't really getting jobs that mean anything in the long run, but it is one of the few like kind of launching pads. It has a higher rate of success than not having a degree.
Right, exactly. Like the reason that getting a college degree won't necessarily help you is because so many people have them, but what that ultimately means is that you also need one, even if it doesn't help you.
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like,
it's become the new baseline, and if you're not
Yeah.
a part of the new baseline, then you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Go to
Again, plenty of things you can do without one, but like,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Go to the next link there. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is I've been hearing this rhetoric lately,
yeah.
where, you know, I think it's perfectly normal for people to kind of be black-pilled about politics, and a sentiment that's kind of, you know, come out is like, hey, Republicans are evil and Democrats are kind of just a controlled opposition. And what I'm hearing from a lot of pundits, and like I said, I was watching the Majority Report earlier, and I've heard this on the Majority Report a couple of times, is, you know, oh yeah, you're just gonna call them controlled opposition, like that's really ignorant, like you're not being a serious person when you say that. Or, you know, like, why do they keep getting elected if they don't plan to do anything in those positions? And the argument that I would like to make is that a lot of these people are getting elected because it's really lucrative for them. It's not necessarily that they're like controlled opposition in such a way that, you know, there's a cabal of I don't know, evil lizard people meeting in the dark of night to like plot the downfall of everyone in America, but the financialization of, you know, Congress, essentially, and that a congressional seat can be an incredibly lucrative opportunity for an individual, means that in some ways they kind of become controlled opposition, just because they're like, hey, what's good for business is good for me. I don't care if it's bad for, you know, the working person.
Right. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah. It's I'm sure most people have this is already clear enough to them, at least most listener who listens to this, but you know, just like imagine playing blackjack and you are allowed to make rules about how many aces there are on the deck.
Exactly.
Like it's you shouldn't be allowed to play blackjack if you have that power. Probably you shouldn't be involved in the stock market. You should be fucking banned from it. If you work in Congress, like
100%.
You should be able to invest in index funds. Like that's it.
And so the next bit of this podcast is going to be about stocks and Congress.
Yeah.
Which is that the whole headline? I think maybe some of it's cut off. Oh,
No, it looks right.
go up a little bit, John. There we go. Retail traders are mirroring investments by Nancy Pelosi's husband, whose stock picks have been strong performers over the last 2 years. Let's go into the article now. Retail traders are watching what Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, is doing on the stock market to help them decide what to do next. His stock picks have been quite successful. Christopher Josephs, co-founder of social investing app Iris, told Yahoo Finance, saying that every trade inevitably turned out to be such a long-term winner. Isn't that weird? That the husband of the Democratic majority, what the fuck is she called in Congress?
Speaker of the House.
There we go. Democratic majority House. It says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I don't know why I blanked there. Yeah, big mommy of the Democratic Party House group. So it started with CrowdStrike in 2020, then Tesla, followed by Alphabet, then Nvidia. He told the outlet, noting that each of Paul's disclosed positions have gained 20% to 30% since the initial investment. Those are fucking insane returns.
Over what period of time?
2020 to now.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
Nice.
So there's been a couple of things. So he invests in Tesla in 2020, right? What is one of Joe Biden's big pushes? Electric vehicles.
Right.
And you know, that was probably already known, but like there's some insider information going back and forth about who's going to be preferred in these things. And as I talked about it on a previous episode, it was the Hell World episode where it was just John and I. A lot of what ends up happening with these vehicle charging stations is they become proprietary to a certain vendor, and Tesla is the obvious vendor for all of the vehicle charging stations that are going to need to be installed. And I've seen it early on in my government career that I just quit. But we're seeing a lot of subsidies for cities and municipalities that are installing vehicle chargers, and they're all Tesla vehicle chargers.
Right. Then, you know, like to some degree, you're able to just kind of read the room, as it were, and just be like, oh yeah, I mean, you know, we're trying to compete with China with electric vehicles. So there's probably going to be a Democrat in office next. Should probably invest in like the big electric vehicle company that's already like fucking booming. But one of the things about that is that it's just another good example of the fact that rich people are able to simply by thinking through like basic logical steps, pretty much just turn money into more money.
Of course.
And you know, where it's like, oh, electric vehicles, probably not shocking that those are going to do better. Nvidia, probably not shocking that they're going to do better either, especially with shit like Bitcoin and like all these different coins proliferating. Like all these different things, like you can kind of guess. And of course, I'm sure there's insider trading going on, and it's legal for them as well. But it's good to keep in mind that you know, all you need to do is be fucking extremely flush with cash in order to just buy a whole bunch of extremely expensive stock. Imagine if you could just buy buy like a Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, that's like what, $46,000, right?
Something like that.
Yeah,
and it's probably going to grow. Like it might not, but it probably will. So yeah, I mean, you know,
if you have that kind of money to play around with, you can wait out like the ups and downs until it finally goes through.
Granted, I guess I could buy 1/3000th of a Bitcoin right now.
Oh,
I can do it.
Go ahead and wealth flex. Why don't you?
I know. Sorry, probably not even that. I got to do the
math. So yeah, you're not making bad points on like, yeah, he's just wealthy, and so he's able to just kind of like go, hey, I think this will probably like eventually turn into something.
But still, definitely insider trading.
But still, definitely insider trading because his returns are so much larger than everyone else's.
Yeah,
and he's not
ridiculous.
making like, hey, I think electric vehicles are gonna make like a thing happen. You know, Tesla isn't the only manufacturer of electric vehicles. thing. So he's making
Yeah,
pretty
but it's the big
calculated
trendy one, right?
buys. Nvidia isn't the only graphics card
Yeah,
maker.
yeah, that's yeah.
The Nvidia one is kind of suspect to me, aside
Mhm.
from like just Bitcoin being like a thing or crypto in general. Because for a while it was incredibly hard to get your hands on video cards. I know because I started
Right.
building my computer right as they were becoming very scarce. And the reason is that transistors or semiconductors, which transistors are a part of, semiconductors were in low supply, and so they couldn't like make enough video cards to like keep up with demand. And then one
Right.
of Biden's first things was like, "Hey, we're gonna boost semiconductor production domestically to make up for this lack of import." So buying Nvidia stock before, like obviously Nvidia's stock starts skyrocketing because they get this huge boost in like their ability to manufacture.
Yeah.
That is suspect, and that's where like some of the insider trading stuff start coming to play.
Right, which is to metaphorize it into the blackjack thing. That's pretty much exactly like, you see an ace get placed down on the table, you just replace it.
Right. Yeah.
It's the exact same thing in a metaphorical state.
So let's go to the next link, and this is actually
or your wife replaces it. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
You don't do it. It's not.
Yeah. So it's not insider trading because your wife and you don't talk ever. So
yeah, you guys have different beds,
bedrooms,
like all these people.
So back as far as 2011, this was a headline. Members of Congress get abnormally high returns from their stocks. Members of the House of Representatives considerably outperform the stock market in their personal investments, according to a new academic study. 4 university researchers examined 16,000 common stock transactions made by approximately 300 House representatives from 1985 to 2001 and found what they call significant positive abnormal returns, with portfolios based on congressional trades beating the market by about 6% annually. What's their secret? The report speculates but does not conclude. It could have something to do with the ability of Congress to have to do with the abilities the ability members of Congress have to trade on non-public information or to vote their own pocketbooks, or both. Sorry, that was a confusing sentence. I don't know why.
We got through it.
We did.
Together.
John, could you just zoom in just a little bit? I think the problem is the text is small and I'm borderline illiterate, so this is causing me trouble. So the next paragraph is down a little bit. A study of senators by the same team of researchers 5 years ago found members of the higher chamber even better at beating the market, outperforming it by about 10%, an amount the academics said was both economically large and statistically significant. The difference between members of House and members of the Senate is members of the Senate wield more power because there's only 2 per state versus, members of the House who apportioned by the size of the state, et cetera, et cetera. It's a bigger body. Their vote means less effectively. Whatever.
Right.
Could we go to the next link, please? So this is a more recent article. Outside ethics group says 7 House lawmakers didn't disclose stock trades. This is especially relevant during the pandemic. There's been a lot of sneaky trading going on. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit. An outside ethics group filed ethics complaints Wednesday against 7 U.S. House lawmakers, 4 Democrats and 3 Republicans, over failing to report stock trades. One of the members of Congress, Democratic Representative Tom Suozzi of New York, failed to file required reports on approximately 300 transactions, according to the complaint from the Campaign Legal Center. 5 of the 7 lawmakers sit on the powerful House Financial Services Committee. It's the latest example of a bipartisan trend that has emerged almost 10 years after Congress overwhelmingly passed a law
Yeah,
To
sorry.
provide transparency and show lawmakers aren't profiting from their jobs, members of Congress are ignoring the disclosure law. Let's go to the next link. And this is right as the
Yu-Gi-Oh.
coronavirus was started. Yeah, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh ad that I really thought was cool. You know, you play the dark magician with the blue eyes, white dragon, and they combo off each other. I don't know what.
And you get banished.
And you get
into
banished to the Shadow Realm. You know.
Thank you. I almost said Shadow Zone. I don't know. Maybe I'm right.
I have no idea. I made that up on the spot.
Yeah.
So.
It's Shadow something, right?
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
I've seen the blue eyes white privilege meme, which
Yeah.
a friend of our made.
Yeah, a friend of ours, Weed Lord 42069 made.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He made the best meme.
Yeah. Shit. I don't know why this came across my feed, but I clicked on it because the like title was so preposterous. And it was like Yu-Gi-Oh plays the dark magician girl. And it was
I have no idea what those words mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yu-Gi-Oh plays dark magician girl?
And it was from the cartoon. And so like it cuts to this point where Yu-Gi-Oh is battling some like clown show looking guy.
Oh, plays against this person. Is that
No. Please.
Okay.
Let me
Sorry.
let me enrapture you with this story.
Please. Yeah.
So, you know, there's like some corny dialogue back and forth, like, ha, Yu-Gi-Oh, I have beaten you. There's no way you can possibly come back from this setback now that I've defeated your dark magician. And then Yu-Gi-Oh is like, moo, and he's got like a weirdly deep voice for the fact that he looks like a twink.
Sometimes, you know.
I'm not saying twink is like a slur or anything. Like he looks like he's just like an effeminate, like.
Sometimes an otter's got a booming voice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh is like this really lithe, like kind of effeminate looking Goku hair having kind of person.
Which is a weird combination, honestly.
It is.
I mean, I've seen it in real life, but in cartoons, it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah. So he's got this booming voice, and he's like, "Aha! But I have the Dark Magician Girl." And so he plays a card that's literally just a girl version of the Dark Magician, but it has like some like special power where I don't know if there's a bunch of dead Dark Magicians, she gets more powerful or something like that. It's like shitty Magic.
Sounds like a woman, am I right?
Jeez. The more men she kills, am I right? Behind every dead dark magician boy is a stronger, hotter dark magician girl.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
I only understood these like mechanics because I admittedly play Magic the Gathering, and I was like, okay, so it's like if you have such and such in graveyard, it becomes a more powerful thing. But yeah. But this was in like the cartoon. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can that
this?
cartoon possibly be that thoughtful, or is it?
It is, yeah.
I think the cartoon is. I imagine it's just making things up, and then later they're like, "We'll make a card."
Well,
where it's Yu-Gi-Oh is in the corner. He whips out his, here's a word salad, and then.
Yeah.
And then we have to print the word salad onto a piece of cardboard.
Oh man, yeah, I found it. It's a 3-minute clip, and I think we can do it, right?
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get shot in our sleep by the copyright people, are they?
No, it's just a clip. Fine. It's already on YouTube.
Oh my god, I was not prepared for that.
It's all in.
That's so. I love cognates because it makes it so that this clip just starts off with someone yelling "black magician" in a really racist sounding accent, even though he's just speaking Japanese.
There's got to be like a English.
Can you just play the beginning again? Just the black magician. Yeah, that was fun. I almost did it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna.
Well, This is gonna be weird because it's in Japanese, but we can read the subtitles, I guess.
I can read the subtitles to the listener.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
How about real quick? Did you try looking up the?
Yeah, I tried looking up the English dubs and I couldn't find it. So let's just play the clip we have and hopefully move on with our lives.
Wait, why are we doing this?
Just because it's hilarious and I want people to know that this is like a real part of the Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon was they have a dark magician girl.
Yeah. No. Okay. Good point. We're doing this from like a feminist kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
This is xenofeminism. Okay. Start from the beginning. Very important opening lines. Black magician, attack the player. I win. What? Why, the black magician curtain is on Yugi's table? Did you find out the magic card black magic curtain is all you need is effective in the whole area? That means I can also use the card. I can summon it too. I can use black magic curtain. How is it possible? There should be no black magician in your card piles, right? I only have one black magician in my card pile. Why? Who are you going to summon? In the world of game, there is a disciple who inherits the master's almighty magic. It is impossible. As the black magician master, I don't know anything about it. I'll show you.
It's just cringy.
That is a sexy black magician.
Yeah.
It's very feminine. That's all I need apparently. Where are my catboys at? Black magician girl. Black magician girl. She does not look like a black magician.
No.
She has only 2,000 attack. She can't win my black magician. Black magician attack, black magician girl. Black magician, black magic, explode wave.
They're really bad at naming.
Don't be so sure. Oh my god, she's still alive. What? It is impossible.
Black magician disintegrates.
What? It is impossible. My black magician is gone. Why? My black magician should have 500 more attack than her. Let me tell you, once black magician sleeps in the grave, black magician girl can increase 300 Disciple inherits master's soul and becomes stronger. But Yugi's grave should have only one black magician. Even if she increases 300 attack, therefore has 2,300 attack, the winner shall still be me. Watch carefully. If you really are Black Magician Master, open your eyes and see the truth. Squint. Wide opening. Wide opening. Oh my god. She's standing there. There is another one. How is it possible? Does he inherit my Black Magician's soul? Black Magician girl inherits all Black Magician soul. You could have just said yes.
Yeah, right. Yes, let's move along.
She also inherits your Black Magician soul that is sacrificed by you. Wasn't that Black Magician already in play? It's my turn. Wake up, Pandora. Or did he have two black... I don't know. I don't understand any of this.
They don't need
You're explaining everything and I understand nothing. Black Magician Explode Wave. You betrayed your card's trust in you. You lost Pandora. Dude, that was just math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was math with little anime ladies.
No more, please.
Yeah. No. Let's go.
Yeah. How, I'm sorry I pointed out that advertisement.
No, that's okay. That's a good reference point to how we get back.
Okay.
But I just need to. Magic is kind of fun because it's pretty pictures, right? That's all you need, pretty pictures.
Yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh cards look like shit.
they do look
Oh,
like
yeah.
shit.
How do they look so bad?
And
Why
then
do
and then
people-
also this is their cartoon. You know, like Pokemon, the cartoon was like fun for kids because it wasn't like
because it
here's
wasn't
how you
saying
play
like,
the game.
300 plus 3
Yeah,
plus
like,
2000.
there's none of that. There's none of that in the Pokemon
There's an extra
cartoon.
300 because yours is mine also, and so you add the numbers together, and then but if I have your numbers, then you'll have mine, unless you have the numbers in a
But the
different way.
Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon is apparently, and this is the only clip I've ever seen from it.
Same, yeah.
The Yu-Gi-Oh cartoon is apparently just watching people play the game, but it's animated.
Man, being a writer on that show must.
Yeah.
Easy.
I can't tell if it
It
sucks or
must-
rules.
Well, yeah, no, I was gonna say it must be a suicide mill.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
There's just nets full of cards.
You know, we're gonna talk later about how sweatshops can save the environment. So,
Oh, good.
Oh, great.
yeah, not a
Yeah.
real position I'm taking, a real position that Jordan Peterson takes. But
Oh yeah, we
Jesus.
shared this with us right after the last episode we did.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go
We've been
back
waiting on
to the stock stuff. I know it's dry. I'm sorry, guys.
No, this is better than Yu-Gi-Oh. There's less math involved with stocks.
Four senators. Four senators sold stocks right before the coronavirus crashed the stock market. Is this headline, and it was Kelly Loeffler, who is no longer a senator, James Inhofe, Dianne Feinstein, and Richard Burr. All the rest of those are still senators, as far as I'm aware. Dianne Feinstein
Is
being,
1,000 years old.
yeah, she's being kept alive through like I don't know how many virgins
Phylacteries.
are being I don't know how many virgins are being sacrificed
Yeah.
every day to like keep her alive, but it's got to be in the hundreds now.
Yeah, at least
Um,
for
Oh, yeah.
20, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she smokes 420 children.
Every day.
They
every
just
day.
roll up all that adrenochrome into a
I
pot
mean,
and she just
to-
fucking...
To be fair, guys, you guys do remember what we learned a few episodes ago, which is that, you know, like
I
Tom
don't
Hanks,
remember any
bless
of
his
these.
soul,
Oh
like,
yes, yes.
the-
yeah.
even though he's probably the guy with the most adrenochrome in his body, he was still able to die from lethal injection.
Yes. Well,
So,
they had to do a lot of lethal. We're gonna be
They
talking
did.
about executions later too. This is,
We are. See?
We're doing a lot
So,
of
I mean-
foreshadowing here. So if everybody stuck around through the Yu-Gi-Oh segment,
Yeah.
it's only going up from here.
Which this is risky for me to say this because I figure that most of the people that sat through that did it because they enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
But if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, just stop listening to this podcast
Yeah, you're welcome
and never
to
speak
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah,
Just
please.
We're not
don't.
one of those podcasts that like tries to placate their listenership. Like
Yeah.
that.
You know,
We are
on-
in an antagonistic relationship with every one of them.
Yeah, I understand that we come from a weird corner of the internet full of like accelerationists and Nazis and like eco-fascists and all sorts of things, but
Which
Yu-Gi-Oh
none of us
players
are.
are not
Yeah.
not acceptable here. Like, you
I'll
know,
talk to
we'll-
a Duganite before I talk to a Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Exactly what I'm trying to say. Well, I'll make a red-brown alliance, but
Yeah.
I'll never fuse Magic the Gathering and something gay
I
like
won't
Yu-Gi-Oh.
make it- You know, Yu-Gi-Oh and what is that?
Digimon?
No, the Blizzard card game one.
'Cause Digimon
Hearthstone.
rules.
Hearthstone.
Okay,
Hearthstone.
I call those baby Magic the Gathering.
that's fair. Does Digimon have cards?
I have no idea what Digimon is. I don't think anybody. knows
Digimon
what
was
Digimon...
like a
Yeah.
Pokemon clone cartoon
Yeah, but
that
like,
kind of ruled when I was a kid.
what did the actual game look like?
I don't know. All I know is that
Exactly.
like they would evolve, and instead of evolving into just like less cute versions of themselves, they eventually
Yeah.
evolved into like people made of metal and skulls.
Yeah, yeah,
which was pretty fun.
Yeah, no,
or like
bad.
fucking full on dragons or like planets or something weird.
yeah. Like a baby cat turns into like a blind like 12-foot tall like wing it half naked chick.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Digimon rule. If
yeah.
anyone
A
watches
dinosaur becomes more and more handicapped. That's what I remember.
Is that a real thing, or did you just come up with that? Because
Well, yeah, no, like the dinosaurs
Oh,
like
that's real.
it's like hands become like less and less useful as it becomes more robotic.
he
Like
just evolves into a fucking wheelchair.
he basically is just like a wheelchair with rockets at some point. 'Cause, you know, like you know, like
That's just aging.
You evolved into old dinosaur.
just like made out of useless prosthetics for some reason.
Oh, that rules.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless. Hopefully, all of us can get to that point eventually.
Yeah,
Where
same.
we're more
yeah.
robot than dinosaur in our elder.
Yeah, my dream will come true when my body becomes 85% rocket. And the U.S. government is firing me at another brown country.
Actually, that leads me to a really good question that's on this subject. So Feinstein?
Yeah.
What percentage of her is robot, and what percentage is lizard?
I don't know. I really think that Feinstein is a lich. You know, like she's too mushy to be a robot. Maybe she's a mummy lord.
So I think
You
the
know?
first question
Like
we
a
have to
dried up
answer.
velociraptor.
The first question we have to answer is this sci-fi or is this a fantasy? Sort of.
Well, maybe she's a lizard lich.
Yeah.
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 With it's more of like a like Starfinder, I think, is the tabletop where it's like
This could be
sci-fi
like-
and fantasy mixed together.
Yeah, this could just be like Mirrodin or Ravnica or something.
Yeah,
you know?
like a Shadowrun kind of thing.
Yeah. Man. Oof.
Anyways, each sold hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks within days.
Oh yeah, the real stuff.
Oh,
we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
within
Rather
days of the Senate holding a classified briefing on January 24th with Trump administration officials on the threat of the coronavirus outbreak. So, you know, a lot of times what you'll hear, and we've talked about this before, but a lot of these senators and Congress persons will say, "Oh, well, I've got all my stocks in a blind trust, so I don't
Right.
know what happens with them." But it is incredibly suspect that days after a secret briefing on what coronavirus is going to do to the economy, probably all four of these senators sell a bunch of stocks. They were all on this committee. I forget which committee. I think it was like the defense committee or something.
Right. Like, are we supposed to imagine that none of these people speak to their lawyers?
Right, and it's like,
Like-
okay, I've got my stocks in a blind trust, but what's keeping me from like talking to an aide or something and being like, hey, could you call this number and say sell all of this? And it's like, where nobody's ever going to fucking trace that or anything, you know? It's just
Right.
obscured.
Or you
as
just-
long as you don't like get caught on camera talking to the stock market to sell all
You
your
just
stocks.
you just have a dinner
talking to
party,
the stock
and
market.
over wine, you guys like happen to talk about some kind of policy you're trying to get through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's go to the next link. 'Cause it only gets better.
And-
Lawmakers made hundreds of stock transactions during pandemic. Watchdog finds. Go ahead and scroll down. Republican and Democratic lawmakers have bought and sold stocks hundreds of times throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Oh, we lost John.
Yeah, I'm still here though.
Well,
Yeah, no, I'll figure it out, but I'll remain.
He's just getting a tubing in.
Oh, yeah. I want to flash the group, but I don't want it on camera.
Yeah, I mean, the stock market does get me rock hard.
Mhm.
I mean, God bless. You're not the only one.
Yeah, same.
I
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to apologize because I'm still holding back laughter about the dinosaur that evolves into becoming increasingly more disabled. That's like so. It's so good.
Well, what it does is, yes, it's not as fast, and yes, it may have a sore back in the morning, but you know, it's wise now. It's got that old dinosaur strength, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can explain why I think this is so funny.
Okay.
And
Well, I mean, you're obviously
I
thinking about like dinosaurs with medical care access.
right.
It's
I mean, that's
already
pretty funny
funny.
on its own. But like, I'm just imagining like you're in this protracted Yu-Gi-Oh-esque fight,
Mhm.
right? And you have some kind of device like I don't know, like a machine that is supposed to make you stronger, or like actually a really good way, like image for it would be like, you know, the teleporter from The Fly.
I do know that, yes.
Yeah. So he gets into it and mixes his DNA with a fly, and then he comes out and he's like superhuman,
Yeah.
but also awful. And you know, then it gets worse. But I'm imagining just like stepping into that machine over and over again in the middle of this fight to try to make yourself stronger, but your limbs just keep fucking falling off. And you're like, no, I'll try it again. And then you just don't have a jaw anymore.
Well, what it's doing is it's like rapidly accelerating time, but you're also not moving during that period, so you get like the years of atrophy because you're not moving while time is accelerating.
Right. And then as soon as and of course, because you're staying in that same position, as soon as time begins moving again, you like fall into a new position.
Yeah.
And so like you're standing up straight, and then as soon as you step out of the machine, you like crumble to the floor.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, this disabled dino is very, very good.
We'll have to make disabled dinosaur memes. By the way, we should probably tell people why we've been posting old memes, but we'll do it after the stop.
I don't know if we need to.
Well, I think we need to.
Yeah, don't justify anything to them.
And we need
I don't
to
have to answer for
because
anything.
I've created a mythology.
Okay. The mythology of, well, we came up with a dumb idea.
Well, it was a moonlit night, full moon,
and Danko stepped in the teleporter again.
Yeah. Where did you interrupt me?
Stocks.
Legal center.
We were talking about blind trusts and how they're not a thing.
Oh,
really.
Right.
Yeah.
So Republican and Democratic lawmakers have bought and sold stocks hundreds of times throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Some of them lucrative moves to invest in industries buoyed by the crisis and divest from sectors like restaurants and hotels that have tanked, according to a new analysis by the Campaign Legal Center. From February 2nd to April 8th of this year, and I think this was written last. Yeah, it's a 2020 article. The nonpartisan watchdog group found 12 senators made a combined 127 purchases or sales, while 37 House representatives made at least 1,358 transactions. If we could go to the next link, which is going to look like shit and boring because it's literally a fucking spreadsheet. Just control and mouse wheel, or yeah. So these are not small money moves. We got people like Blumenthal trading 300,000 to 750,000. Tom Carper, 14,000 to 210,000. Let's go ahead and scroll down to Pelosi, who's going to be on the next page. I think it's important because she's next page.
Oh, next page. Okay.
No. Just keep going down. It's got more pages
sorry.
in the.
Yeah.
All right. So Pelosi, who is Speaker of the House.
Holy shit.
$1,600,000 in trades to up as much as $3,250,000.
Sometimes you just make $2 million a year passively.
Right.
Sometimes you just do that.
Sometimes you just
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
over $2 million in one fucking year.
Yeah, you take
Or like
you take a
2 years.
knee in a kente cloth and you fucking look at numbers tick and make money out of thin air.
But I gotta
Exactly.
say, Pelosi is being shamed by Phil Rowe from Tennessee,
Mm.
who 2,487,000 to 10,630,000.
Wow.
That dude made his fucking nut on this. And you know what's a couple of cracked eggs to the tune of like 800,000 dead Americans when you can make that much money off of.
Yeah,
Look, we'll get to 1 million one day, and it'll be cool.
Yeah. So there's that. The next piece I have is about executions, which isn't fun.
When was the last time you actually had like a discussion with someone about execution, like capital punishment, whether or not it should be legal?
It's been quite a long time, actually.
Yeah,
I think
it's been a while for me as well because I don't hang out with idiots that much anymore.
I mean,
but
like,
yeah,
normally what you'll hear is like somebody just like in the heat of like thinking.
What if
about
someone
something
raped your mom?
Right, yeah, and it'll be like, yeah, they should just fucking die or whatever. But like most people I think that I communicate with aren't like, yeah, we should execute people all the time and that's good. Or they'll say that as like a joke and like we can be like, ah, yeah, ooh, kill people. So Oklahoma decided to execute a guy. I don't know what this guy did, honestly. I don't think it matters. I think capital punishment is a bad idea, regardless.
Probably
of,
like public indecency and loitering if it's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and he's a black guy, so you know.
Yeah, he just showed someone his dick because he was peeing in a gutter.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have to put him to death.
Don't go away from the headline quite yet.
Oh.
So I don't know what this guy did exactly. He was on death row, I guess, but you know. Oklahoma is its own special brand of place. You know, I don't like to make generalizations about an area, but Oklahoma has some of the most conservative, horrible dog shit like lawmakers that you can possibly have in a state. It's one of the most gerrymandered states. It's
in fact a shithole.
I know several people that live in Oklahoma and they're constantly miserable because it's a miserable place to be in.
Yeah, I too, to give a little bit of a feeling, my family has evidently, because my dad's side of the family is from Oklahoma, and evidently there's some acreage out there that the family has owned for a couple generations. And no one has ever used or wants that we just pay property taxes on without anything being built on it because no one wants to be in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and that makes it hard to sell the land too.
Impossible. I couldn't sell it if I wanted to. If anyone wants to buy it, I'll give it to you for like $50.
Ooh. $50 and a handle of rum.
Yeah.
That's how I used to make all my deals. Is I would say like a really low dollar amount, and then like also you got to buy me rum though.
Right. It's funny too because you know there's the plan for the Benzo Rehab commune. So
Not
really all
Oklahoma.
we need exactly all we need to start it is land, and we have land, but we're not gonna
not in Oklahoma. No.
It sucks too. I've seen Google Maps of it, like Google Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sad place.
Yeah, not great.
It's like somehow a swamp and a desert at the same time. I don't know how they did it.
No, it's unique. It's marsh.
It sucks.
I guess is what you would call it, really.
Yeah, I mean we got marshes around here, but like that's from a fantasy novel.
Yeah, like some some kind of hellish marsh that's just made out of like tar and like fire.
Oklahoma is where orcs come from.
Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yeah.
So to bring this conversation back down,
Sorry,
Oklahoma-
I'm on a fantasy thing today.
yeah. Well, I think the Yu-Gi-Oh thing poisoned the rest of
Yeah,
the
whose fault is
conversation.
that?
Advertising.
It's mine.
Advertising.
Well, it is advertising's fault, but I could have resisted. But I wanted to tell people that Dark Magician Girl exists. Like the distinction between, oh, I've got.
Yeah, what
the
would I
Dark
do if I didn't
Magician.
know about that?
Yeah, and it's good to know that Yu-Gi-Oh is like and she's more powerful than Dark Magician.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but only at the expense of men.
Well,
Yeah.
of course.
I mean,
Yeah.
Girl
yeah,
boss,
it's just
gaslight.
gaslight
Gatekeep.
gatekeep, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, Oklahoma decides to execute a guy. Oklahoma is coming under sharp criticism after witnesses to the state's first judicial killing for 6 years described gruesome scenes of the dying prisoner convulsing and vomiting as he was administered the lethal injections. John, could you zoom in again so I can read better?
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
I mean, that sounds dreadful, but I mean, Tom got what he got. Mr. Hanks deserved it.
Jesus Christ. Could you scroll down a bit too? All right. John Grant, 60, was pronounced dead at 4:21 p.m. on Thursday at McAllister State Penitentiary after he was injected with a triple cocktail of midazolam, vicuronium bromide, and potassium chloride. Later, the Department of Corrections said the killing had gone in accordance with protocols and without complication. This was probably a lie, because the eyewitness accounts from reporters at McAllister's supposedly state-of-the-art death chamber, which, Jesus Christ, what a fucking
Yeah.
thing.
What a sell. But like, imagine the brochures. Like,
Yeah.
there has to be brochures because there's brochures for everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Like some state official walked into an office for a renovation and they had a fucking injection chamber. State of the art fucking modern stainless steel appliances.
Here
What-
at
what they
McAllister
did-
State Penitentiary.
What they did is they just had a brochure and it just has like 36 different options for death chambers and it says it's for the kids.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's a Wu-Tang joke, not a Holocaust joke.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah.
So eyewitnesses gave a very different account. Dan Snyder, an anchor at the Oklahoma TV channel Fox 25, said that the events went drastically off course the instant the first drug, the sedative midazolam, was injected into the prisoner. Scroll down, please. Almost immediately after the drug was administered, Grant began convulsing so much that his entire upper back repeatedly lifted off the gurney. As the convulsions continued, Grant then began to vomit multiple times. Over the course of the next few minutes, medical staff entered the death chamber. Jesus Christ, what a fucking name for a room. To wipe away and remove vomit from the still breathing Grant. It took 15 minutes for Grant to be declared unconscious. Not dead, unconscious by medical staff, after which the vicuronium bromide, sorry, I'm not like well versed in killing people with chemicals, I guess. Which is not to like edgelords say I'm good at killing people other ways. Which paralyzes the body, and potassium chloride, which stops the heart, were given. On Twitter, Snyder gave his response to the state's official claim that all had gone according to plan. As a witness to the execution who was in the room, I'll say this: repeated convulsions and extensive vomiting for nearly 15 minutes would not seem to be without complication. Accounts of the botched execution of Grant, who was being put to death for the murder in 1998 of a prison cafeteria worker while he was already serving a sentence for armed robberies, will come as a deep embarrassment for Oklahoma. No judicial killings have taken place in the state since 2015 after a spate of botched procedures caused widespread alarm and forced the authorities to review their use of lethal injection drugs. So, not new to Oklahoma to fuck this up. And their first execution after 6 years of not doing executions is botched. They lie and say, hey, it went well. Didn't go well. and the whole thing is really just kind of disgusting, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I know that. Well, no, they don't. They so there are a few things about these methods of killing people.
Yeah.
Is that number one? Doctors can't do it because that's part of their
The
whole
Hippocratic
thing
Oath,
is they're
yeah.
not allowed to do
Yeah.
harm. Well, in the States they don't. That's like a misnomer thing where they don't actually do the Hippocratic Oath. But I'm just being kind of like a never mind. That's splitting hairs. But functionally the same thing where they're not allowed to do any harm. And so we use non-doctor people in order to administer this stuff, which to start with is dumb. And then like imagine shit that you do at your work that takes more than 3 steps that you do like once a week and still fuck up.
Of course.
Now imagine having to do a 3-step thing once every 6 years.
Yeah.
Like a thing you've literally never done before. And it's just like, we need you to kill someone on Tuesday. Someone with no medical degree and also, who has probably never done this before. You probably don't keep a job like that for a long time, or you do it for the rest of your life, but that means that you've only done it 6 times.
And what's interesting is what like there are better ways.
Yeah.
And I don't
nitrogen oxide gas, things like that. I mean, I don't do any of them.
Yeah, don't do any of them, but also just like heavy doses of opioids.
Yeah, I don't like can't you give somebody enough opioids to where like their what is it, anatomic fucking nervous system relaxes so much that they just like fade off?
Yeah, if you so what you could do, and I'm sure that this would have complications in a lot of instances, maybe someone that actually has like medical or pharmaceutical training can like inform us, but if you just gave someone like enough fucking like any benzo and mix it in with a substantial amount of right, and mix that in with like an opioid, that's gonna kill you. You're gonna stop breathing and you're gonna nap before it happens. Like and a lot of these ways of dying can be painful and shit, but probably better than that. But no, there's a great, I wish I remember what its name was, but there was a great documentary that came out years ago about like exploring all these different ways to like ethically kill someone. And in the end, of course, the determination is, you can't ethically kill people. But the best one they found was just like nitrogen oxide gas, because all it does is kind of smother you and it makes you feel like a little bit loopy and a little euphoric at the end. But the problem with that is that it makes someone feel goodish before they die. And the whole point of this is that even this is botched to some people, but not most people, a lot of people, the people that want people to die from lethal injection really want it to be botched.
No,
like, let's face it, they want them drawn and quartered.
Which is what I was bringing up as the point, is like, there are clearly more humane ways to do this. And we're not medical professionals to know exactly. I would say injecting like a shit ton of morphine in someone's probably a better way to go than something that's supposed to just like knock you out evilly. I think is like
probably also costs a few dollars instead of a couple cents.
Yeah, but like I don't know.
And you do it once every 6 years.
It seems like, and I get like the if we're gonna do it, it should be humane, is what I'm trying to say. And if you're going at it at a position of like, we're doing it because we're not chopping off their heads, right? And there's a reason we're not chopping off their heads, because we think that's barbaric or whatever. But we still want to like cause them suffering, so we're using like chemicals that just like evil their way into like killing somebody.
Yeah, well, because why do they need a paralytic? Other than like Jesus, like what if they're conscious? Which I'm pretty sure some of them have been for.
I'm sure
for these things.
What's really funny is I'm sure that someone's reasoning for them using a paralytic is so they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah, well, it's like right here. It's like
wipe the vomit off of you. Yeah.
Like,
what if he aspirates?
Yeah, no, it's like, oh, let's get the vomit off of his fucking mouth so
Right.
he doesn't choke to death because we have to get the poison in him.
Yeah. And to be clear, like,
God forbid he dies of something else.
Right. And the reason that we don't behead people is not, I mean, you're right that we don't do it because it's more barbaric, but what that actually means is that it exposes the barbarousness of something like a state apparatus that kills people.
Yeah, right.
Like it makes it evident that a death is occurring, and that death is in fact deathly, instead of medicalizing things and hiding them, which is the entire purpose of something like the prison system and the state that it, as it currently exists.
Injection
Foucault has entered the chat.
Yeah, lethal injection is essentially a bureaucratized method of killing somebody.
Yeah.
I
John,
like
could
this.
You zoom in on. Yeah, go ahead and read that quote if you would like.
Yeah, no, because what Dorian was or Danko was just saying. With each development in the technology of execution, the same promises have been made that each new technology was safe, reliable, effective, and humane. And what is safe about executing somebody?
Yeah, that's really funny.
That's brain smoothing, right?
And to finish the quote, it goes on to say, "Those claims have not generally been fulfilled." I don't know who Austin Surratt is, but yeah, he's right.
How many people came safely out of their execution?
And to also prove a point on or like make the point on this, was safe is highlighted in a different color. Like,
I did that.
Yeah, obviously they're drawing. Oh, you did that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like part of it. Could you scroll down to the table of contents there? So I would like to posit that we need to bring back the firing squad if we're going to do executions, because we've got method, hanging, total executions 2,721, botched executions 85. The botched execution rate is 3.12%. Electrocution 4,374. 84 botched executions. That's only 1.92%. So not horrible, I guess.
Yeah, it's just that it's when it is botched, it's particularly horrific.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, which people light on fire when it's botched.
Lethal gas 593 executions, 32 botched executions. That's a 5.4% botch rate, which isn't great. Lethal injection 1,054, 75 botch executions. That's 7.12%. So that's actually pretty high compared to the rest of these.
Yeah.
But firing squad 34, botched executions 0%. 0% execution rate. Let's bring it. Nah, I don't think we should bring that back.
Well, also, it is. One of the things about that is just that the number is so low, so I'm sure the botched executions would have increasing with a larger sample.
Well, it also determines is determined by what they consider botched at the time.
Also true, yeah. But the thing about firing squad is that, like, of course, it would probably be more efficient. It would probably also be cheaper. And
a lot of guns,
but but again, it just ends up. It signifies things in a way that people aren't comfortable with, where suddenly it's like, it's literally just a death squad, which is what it is anyway, but we can medicalize it otherwise.
Yeah, well, and also they just like flip an on switch on a machine,
right?
That's like a lottery machine that randomly like fucking starts or something.
Yeah, like there's a 7% chance that it makes your day really bad, and like a 93% chance that it makes your day end
safely.
But safely, yeah. But the like imagine how quickly they would move over to it if you could somehow kill people, like literally kill someone with a PowerPoint. Because I've come close. I know everyone in the military has, right? But but that's the I think that's actually the ideal form of execution is via paperwork or PowerPoint. And if they are to find a way, and they will find a way eventually, that's the best way for the state apparatus to hide behind itself and still safely kill people.
Yeah, if everybody just unexplainedly just I guess just died of like mental fatigue.
Yeah, I have a better one actually. It's all the whole cast of The West Wing just owns you for an hour until you're fucking like an aneurysm explodes in your brain. That's
West Wing.
Yeah, that's the apex of American justice.
Oh, I think I missed
under a
this
Democrat president.
link. All right, we're gonna do some palate cleansing stuff because the state.
We got whiskey.
the state killing
all
us thing is not like, I don't know, it's not my favorite subject, I guess. We're gonna look at, and I forgot to post this link, so I'm sorry, John, that's my bad, but put it up there. Yeah. we're gonna move on to Mayor Pete, and we could pause it. This is a documentary that he's basically made.
So this makes me so fucking sad.
Yeah, turn the volume up.
This is sadder than a disabled dinosaur.
See, Pete Buttigieg is the actual final form of a Digimon.
Right, of course. Yeah. He and his husband fused at the hip, stuck to the same wheelchair together.
You end up a rich, sexless gay.
That is a great handle for like Twitter. Rich sexless gay.
Not wrong.
If only you could use comments, you know.
Yeah.
Rich, sexless, gay.
Well, what you would have to do instead is like parentheses or something, like rich and then in parentheses sexless gay. So this is the trailer for the Mayor Pete documentary, which
why would anybody want that?
No.
You know who wants it. I know who wants it.
Mayor Pete wants this.
And you can order anything on Amazon.
No, honestly, yeah, kind of exactly. You know,
I would like one documentary about my shitty family, please.
So there's been a recent what's the word? A PR move, I guess. Because, you know, as we gain more access to recording equipment, which I think is good because it allows things like us to exist.
What we need is more podcasts and YouTubers.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad that you agree. But either way, what's happening is so there was the Dr. Fauci documentary that came out, which obviously is like, why
we got to do a watching of that. We gotta get some people together.
I watched it. It's not gonna produce the content that we want out of it. It's really actually just kind of boring.
Oh, I'm sure it's like gray.
Yeah,
it's just like entirely flat.
So when you ask
1912, Fauci graduated magna cum laude from Harvard University.
When you
went on to become Bill Clinton.
When you ask who wants the Mayor Pete documentary, it's Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete wants the Mayor Pete documentary because he wants to make his role in politics seem more significant to the moment than it actually was.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Just imagine trying to explain this to people in 30 years when we're already dead anyway.
We have a documentary from a guy that was mayor of a city smaller than the one that I just quit, that nobody even knows exists.
No one's ever heard of San Marcos. It's not real.
So smaller than the city that I just quit from. I don't care if you dox me at this point. I'm moving on to the private world, so we're fine. And like one of his major things was like a racist cop thing happened underneath him. Right. He made some bad decisions that got some other people like killed kind of.
But like, imagine the most optimistic thing where it's like you have to sit down with your grandson and explain who is Pete Buttigieg and why are there movies about him, and you have to say,
and why is he
was
also
the mayor
president?
of a small town. Yeah, he was the mayor of a small town, and then he became the transportation secretary before he was caught shooting dogs. That's
so
not. Oh God.
So it's a known fact that the only way that Pete Buttigieg's dick gets hard is if he's shooting a dog.
Yeah, imagine that guy getting taken down by a bunch of like dachshunds.
Oh yeah,
fucking him up. Yeah. That's how he goes out. His husband is going to eventually open up the basement, and then all the dogs that he've been starving down there will just pour out and take their vengeance.
Yeah. Eats little boys, he calls them.
Eating boys.
Let's go ahead and well, let me continue to set this up.
Oh yeah.
Pete Buttigieg wants this because he wants to make it seem like his presidential bid was more than just like a PR stunt to get him into like some kind of role inside of the cabinet or whatever. He's also a CIA op. We've talked about this before. We had the Pete Buttigieg episode with Sacrilegio.
Hanging out in Somaliland.
Right. There's so many reasons that this guy is just like obviously some kind of like weird State Department like creation. And the reason that he wants this documentary is because this will lend credence to like how impactful he is as a politician, which is not at all essentially. He hasn't like done anything except for be mayor.
I just thought of a fantastic way for the documentary to open. Okay, because like in my dream, which will never come true, because I'm finally at that point in my life where I'm admitting to myself that none of my dreams will be real. But in my dreams, I am the director of documentaries by important people, for important people. And so what we do as the opening is we see, so it's just like what this screen has right now, right? So you see this beautiful kind of humble but clearly like well-off home.
That's a shitty home.
Yeah, it is. But this is in DC where the weather is shitty no matter what. And so
let me continue real quick. Also, the amount of lights on each side of the walkway is different.
It is. I mean, they're not. Yeah. So you kind of, it's this tracking shot that goes into the house, and you see Mayor Pete, and he's looking out the back patio, and somehow time has moved more quickly than we thought, and the sun is setting, and you see him silhouetted, and it's this beautiful music swells and then stops, right? And then you see him turn around, and he says, "Hi, I'm Mayor Pete. I'm gay, and you've heard of me."
That's not too different than what's going to happen in this trailer. We should just roll the trailer, John. Roll the trailer.
That I asked him. You spent so much of your life hiding who you truly were. Did you
not nearly as artistic
as be your true self for the campaign trail?
A hometown boy who went to Harvard and became a Rhodes Scholar, only to return to the city where he grew up. He's also a newlywed.
I made Pete promise that we would have fun.
This is the only chance you'll ever get to vote for a Maltese-American left-handed Episcopalian gay war veteran Mayor Millennium.
It's a leap going from being a mayor to being a presidential candidate, but I realized I had something to offer that was just different. When I talked about coming out, that was for everybody who's tried to figure out how to be who they are. The challenge, of course, is how do you master the game without it changing you?
A developing story. One candidate is dealing with a crisis back home.
There had been an officer-involved shooting.
Get them off the streets!
You looked a little too green, like you weren't ready. Are you saying things that project the right kind of warmth? Are you connecting with people?
My way of coming at the world, the stronger an emotion is, the more private it is.
I've never met someone who thinks so deeply about what he can do for other people.
You're gonna tell every single gay kid in this country that it gets better.
I thought we were talking about dead black people.
Oh no, they switched real quick from that.
Yeah,
and
but
I
remember,
like
Any
how,
identity out for any identity.
they're empowering
you
gay
do that.
kids.
Yeah.
I like how when they're on like the little trailer portion of the police shooting a unarmed black guy, it goes to his team, and his team is like, "Are you saying things that make people feel your warmth?" So it's not that like he's genuinely warm. He's being coached by a group of people, and he's admitting it in this trailer, like accidentally. He probably thinks that this is like emotionally intelligent, is a term that I hear thrown around.
Right. Well, it's the whole. Okay, so I have some advice for everyone, and thankfully I haven't experienced this in real life, but I'm also certain that I'm right because I'm always right about everything, obviously. And no one here has ever seen me say the wrong thing, not during this episode either. But if you have access to a focus group, right, and they're going to tell you what to say, ignore them 100% of the time.
Yes.
Just always ignore the focus group people, because what's going to happen is they're going to ask you something like that, when instead of being Mayor Pete, and trust me, one of these people is probably less of a shithead than the other. But if you have an option between having the success of someone like a Mayor Pete and Trump, that's where that kind of success comes from, right?
Yeah.
Where either you listen to every sniveling little shithead around you that says like, "Why aren't you being sweeter and more warm? And why didn't you bring your blankie onto stage and tell them about Malta?" Versus just like ignoring all those people and then like talking about how big your dick is on stage. Like, one of these people you're going to get stepped on, and then your greatest accomplishment is going to be being the transportation secretary that made an Amazon documentary about himself.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one is going to be the president that like made everyone laugh for 4 years while he ruined the world. Like,
for sure. John,
just don't listen to these people.
Before we roll the rest of this, John, I have a concern. Do you really just have the default standard Windows background?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Well, let's roll the rest of this.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
That is some.
That's a Mayor Pete
shit.
move, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a sociopath.
I don't use dark mode for anything, so I mean, I'm probably also one of them.
You're looking at someone who, as a young man, wondered if something deep inside of him meant that he would forever be an outsider. And now you are looking at that same young man, happily married, asking for your vote for President of the United States.
This is God's Not Dead music. Can you make explosions in the sky but make it worse somehow?
No, there's a cow in the audience.
Do we know whose side the cow is on?
There's a lot at stake.
What? Wait, is that an inside joke? Is there?
I think
I'm
that's
pretty
some
sure
kind of
that's
American colloquialism that means nothing.
I'm pretty sure that's like a fake candid moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the really unsettling thing about Buttigieg in an episode that is again seemingly full of upsetting things about Buttigieg, but is the fact that you can't actually tell when he's being fake candid, because he's always fake candid. There's nothing but fake candid, because usually you can hear it in someone's voice, but with him you just get used to it. It's just this flat affect that continues through.
Yeah, his entire persona is just like this crafted, and again, I mean we've talked about it. He's a CIA plant,
right?
Almost definitely. And like this is something that I see even in like more popular media than us, is people saying like, yeah, something weird about Pete Buttigieg and like how crafted every single thing about him is.
It's crafted, but it's also like here's a linguistic argument.
Okay.
Right. Usually when you're on the stage somewhere and you're trying to make some kind of an argument, you try to enunciate things better until you get flabbergasted, and that's a whole different fucking thing, right? But when you're trying to be candid, or when you are being candid, your enunciation relaxes quite a lot, and things like the ends of words kind of taper off. Yep. Right? You become a little bit less concerned about pronouncing the D at the end of and. Right? So, but with Buttigieg, he does this it's genuinely creepy to me, and maybe I'm on the spectrum or something. This is creepy.
No. I think you're going towards something that I think is also creepy about it.
Right, like he over enunciates everything while still under enunciating it in some way, and maybe like he just has some like weird growth in his palate or something, but he's probably just trained to try to be casual while never being able to do that.
No,
there's something
exactly
wrong with the way
it
he
is.
speaks.
No, but because he has like a certain cadence and a certain like swelling sort of like method of talking that's like, if you can light this room with your lighters, and you can light up a city, and you can light up a town, and you can light up the whole country. You know, like he just has this like cadence and rhythm of speaking that's like constantly meant to like portray some kind of inspiration, but he's also saying nothing most of the time.
Yeah,
cows may or may not be on our side.
Yeah,
right. Well, like so the version of it that is somehow not creepy to me, because it is only over enunciation, is like Obama, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's like, of course, like it's creepy, but it's not viscerally creepy. Because he's not like trailing off at the end of his words.
Yeah, there was some practice like eloquence with Obama.
Yeah,
where
everything he said was on purpose, which is why he did for like half of everything he's saying. Is that we killed some folks.
Yeah,
everything is poppy punchy.
Some folks.
Yeah, like all of the sounds he's making are made on purpose.
Yeah.
Whereas, that's the way to explain it. With Buttigieg, all the sounds he's making are on purpose, and then he tries to pretend they're not.
Right. Absolutely. Let's go to the Instagram link. I see you only pulled one of the Instagram links that I posted.
You do have power over your.
Yeah.
You do have power over farmland and wild creatures.
This is the one that I wanted to watch first, and this is just.
Is that the Ferrari logo?
What's that?
Is that the Ferrari logo?
No, that's the Dark Horse logo.
Oh,
because
no.
Brett Weinstein is the Dark Horse.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yes.
Don't do that.
So this is Jordan Peterson and Brett Weinstein. I don't know which it is.
No one knows.
But this is them literally just like word salading something. I don't know. I like we can make some probably like guesses as to what they're trying to say at the end of this, but like when you're going through it, and this is something that Jordan Peterson posted on his like Instagram, so he's proud of this to some degree, or whatever his like producer or like social media manager is like proud of this little exchange. But it starts out with Brett saying, "You do have power over yourself and how you," and then we'll just and the headline of this is "Invest in your competence, ignore unfair systems." This is already like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. I think we should do that, but I'm sure that's not what they mean.
And that's what's going to become very confusing over the course of this clip. Is I have no idea what they're actually trying to fucking say.
Like,
because they're both nodding in agreement with each other, but they're saying contradictory things.
Of course,
and they're and like not even contradictory to each other, but contradictory to themselves as well.
Yeah. Well, what they're saying in that headline there is simply like, use critical thinking and don't do bad stuff, which you can then simplify again into just it's I think what it really says in the end is think the right thing, not the wrong thing.
Right, without
which again is
any
meaningless.
Prescription, without making any kind of prescription of what the right and wrong things are.
Exactly.
So John, if we could roll it, like I said, Brett is starting out saying, "You do have power over yourself and how you react, I think is what he says next.
Self and how you interact with the world. So if you encounter a system that's very unfair, you can complain about the unfairness and you have a very low chance of affecting it at all. Or you can say, well, it may be unfair, but I'm going to play the cards I've been dealt as well as I can. And that's something over which you have a tremendous amount of control. There's almost no return on the investment in complaining about a broken system.
Well, it's especially true if you're not already competent and seen to be competent. Maybe you have some ghost of a chance of changing things if you are competent and are seen to be competent, but before then you can break things, but building them, that's pretty damn hard.
Absolutely.
And so you can work locally and then you have some chance of success and you can find out what is under your control. And then maybe you can turn yourself into someone who can make cautious systemic adjustments and have them be for the good rather than for harm.
Whereas if you take the other approach and you say, well, the system isn't fair, and I'm going to change the system, but you don't invest in your own competence, then you're unlikely to fix the system. But even if you do, you still don't arrive in it competent. So you're still going to be outcompeted by people who did invest in personal responsibility. So in some sense, it's just a loser of a position from the point of view of an individual's allocation of their time and effort.
Hold on. I think I figured it out.
Go ahead.
I think I figured it out. The two of them just got together to speak to me directly. To say, Danko, stop voting, learn to shoot better.
No. So yeah, their general point seems to be that, and I agree with this to an extent, which is that you should become a competent person, but rather than just saying like you should become good at doing stuff, they say you have to invest in your competence. Yeah. And then they say some contradictory shit, which is don't try to change the system. However, if you become competent, you can adjust the system. However, you shouldn't be focused on changing the system. You might change the system, but you'll be incompetent when you do change the system.
Well, yeah, like they're
you'll
so
be
wrong
outbid
that
by
they're
competent
right.
people.
Right. So they're so dumb and wrong that they're right in the sense that what they're saying is essentially, hey, don't just complain about things. Okay, don't just complain about things. Sure. Yeah. Actually do things. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't work in the system because you can't change the system.
Right.
Okay. So I shouldn't be a middle manager at Chili's. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah. Never gonna change anything there.
And so, but which goes against Jordan Peterson's whole thing, which is just like you need to learn to like washing dishes while your boss spits on you. Because your boss is competent. But so really they're just making a really confused argument for either mutual aid or Boogaloo Boys.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't think that's what either of them wanted to do.
I think they want Boogaloo. I think they want Boog. They want to be confusing enough that they make Boogaloo Boys and Chili's managers at the same time. Which, by the way, they're the same people anyway. But
Chili's managers and the Boogaloo Boys that rule over them.
Yeah. No, it's the Chili's managers and the Boog Boys that take care of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Just a bunch of guys in Hawaiian shirts standing around your local Chili's with machine guns, protecting a man who is virtually identical to them in every way, shape, and form. And one like kind of overweight housewife lady that they all have decided is their girlfriend.
Did you say boyfriend?
Their boyfriend. Well, because they don't allow Jews, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. John, could you go back to Jordan Peterson's Instagram?
I found the link.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just click on that, then it'll bring us to whatever this shit is.
That's so good.
So yeah, this guy already like looks like you shouldn't trust him.
He looks like that asshole that what is his name? The hey, just hanging out in my garage.
Yes.
What is that motherfucker's name?
I forget his name, but he's like, hey, here in my garage. Yeah, I got the supercar, but look at all these books. These books are how I got the supercar.
At one point, I think I had like 400 pounds of books, like way more books than what were on that shelf.
Ty Lopez. Well, no, his whole
yes.
thing, his whole dumbass thing was that Jesus, I love it. I love it because people were convinced by it, and that is so funny to me. But his whole thing was that wasn't just his bookshelf. That was the new bookshelf he just bought to hold all of his new books, because he read one book every day. He read and finished a book every day,
and that's
how he got a Lamborghini, because he spent all of his time reading Game of Thrones, I guess. Like, dude, that guy blows my mind. I fucking hate him so much. I love it. It's
a great
Vaynerchuk guy. That Vaynerchuk guy is, I can only hate him. Tai Lopez is so fucking dumb that I love him.
Yeah.
I just, it all hurts. I love him. And I wish I could finish a book every day. But yeah, this guy looks like him.
Right. So
he probably has the same worldview.
He's starting out the top line of this particular clip from Jordan Peterson's Instagram is, "Could sweatshops save the planet?" ?
And the answer is yes, so long as each of them are reading a book every day.
He's starting out, "The three main characters in my book are Bernadette, who lives," and we can just go from there.
My book are Bernadette, who lives in the Congo and is suffering these trade-offs, Suparti, who left the farm for working in factories in Indonesia, and my wife Helen. They're all women of color, and they all sort of describe these stages of development and why economic development is good for them as individual human beings and is good in and of itself, and as it turns out, is actually good for the natural environment too.
Yeah, this chapter, Sweatshops Save the Planet, that's subchapter actually. I figured that would make you a lot of friends. So how do sweatshops save the planet exactly? How do you justify a statement like that?
Well, I wrote this because in the late 1990s, I was working on an activist campaign to criticize Nike for its factory conditions in Indonesia. And 20 years later, I went back to Indonesia to see how things were, just to see what the impacts were. And my views totally changed. Factories, and this has been going on for 250 years, women move from the farms where they are basically servants to their parents, the servant class of their parents. They move to the cities and it's just liberation. Yes, the life and working in the factory is really hard. I mean, it's terrible.
And you're just a servant to your boss.
So yeah. So he says, yeah, they move to the city and it's just liberation. And yeah, working in the factories is really hard. I mean, it's terrible.
Right.
What's the fucking argument here, buddy?
let's also be clear that he just drew out for us like one of the best examples of capitalistic alienation, like literally ripping apart families.
Literally ripping apart families, and he's also making a claim that has no factual basis whatsoever, which is that industrialization is good for the natural environment somehow.
Yeah, that part is especially bizarre. Like, I'm sure what he would argue is just like, well, a lot of these fucking people in the Congo, and I call them people because I'm being generous, is they're people of color is what they are. And so what they do is they have this totally barbaric way of farming where they slash and burn things. And that must be really bad for the environment. And so what we need to do is get all these people out of their villages, where they treat ladies really bad, where we can get them into factories where we treat everyone really, really bad.
Equal bad treatment across the
and no more of that archaic farming shit,
Yeah. Which farming isn't necessary to maintaining any of these industrial spaces or
No.
Factory farming, as we've learned, is only good. Also,
please continue. There's so much time.
Not compared to subsistence living on a farm,
but not compared to living on a farm. And Suparti, who's the factory worker who I profile here, she has her own scooter, she has her own home. She's like in her early 20s.
She has her own scooter.
She can marry whoever she wants. I mean, amazing, right? She's a Muslim. Still Muslim, but she's left behind.
He says disappointedly.
The traditional practice of arranged marriage.
Yeah, well, that's part of that unconscious worship of those sort of Ewok villages that you described. And the only person who would think that subsistence farming is somehow like a utopian goal is only someone who's so far removed from a farm that all they...
Okay, one thing I should maybe point out for something like subsistence farming or like hunter-gathering or shit like that.
Right.
Okay, so imagine all the things you have to spend money on.
Yep.
Right. Now imagine you're a subsistence farmer. You live in a small group of like 60 people.
Yep.
And in that group, there are people who practice medicine. So medical care is free.
Yeah.
Security is free. Housing is free.
Yep.
Like all these fucking things are free. And so the fact that you don't go ahead and carry your fucking potatoes and, you know, pineapples out somewhere and sell them and get like a shit ton of money from it, that all would go to rent anyway, doesn't fucking mean anything. It is entirely meaningless.
Exactly.
Like,
and the other thing is he
spend time with your family.
Right. There's been multiple like archaeological and historical studies on this kind of stuff. We in modern America work more than a medieval peasant did.
Yeah.
Medieval peasants took more vacation time than we did. And then when you go back to like when hunter-gatherer like societies were like the primary mode of living, we're talking like a 17-hour work week where they would just like go out, hunt something down. The regular gathering work would happen. We're talking like small scale farming sort of stuff, little agricultural, like, we dig a trench and we put the plants, seeds in, and hey, we get food. 17-hour work week for these people. And the rest of their time was spent just like sitting around the fire, just like fucking making
up stories
out
about
of
this fucking
spit
sky.
like, yeah, right.
but like but also consider, which is another great thing, is that most of these like Paleolithic especially, but it enters into modernity as well, because these people aren't like, so saying that it made the wrong implication, where like contemporary hunter-gatherers aren't archaic in any way, shape, or form. They just evolved in a kind of different trajectory. But you know, societies that have a lot of this stuff in common, which is this interaction with, you know, the actual seasons and the earth, and relying on that instead of some kind of removed capitalistic influence, they also get to live in a way that is cyclical. And the important thing about that is that it makes it, and there's a lot of historical and archaeological and anthropological evidence for this, but where during half of the year certain people are in charge and certain types of work need to be done, and then the other half of the year everything about society, including who's in charge down to like the kind of structures that you have, change. And so not only are you not doing the same job every fucking day for the rest of your life until you die miserable and bored, but also the person who is constantly putting his fucking boot on your neck also gets replaced every 6 months, and there's a constant kind of flow and change of responsibilities inside of these immensely more egalitarian and horizontalized societies.
Absolutely.
And so this idea that the only way for people to be happy is to put them into like over clarified and yet bureaucratic systems where like everyone works one awful job for 80 hours a week is so that they can marry whoever they want, so they can have a scooter,
which
and
do you ever really marry
that they pay all their
whoever
money
you
to?
want?
No, the answer is no.
Because
if you're married, shut up. You're wrong. You married the wrong person.
Yeah. Let's
you would have been happier if you waited 6 months.
Let's continue, because they start like acknowledging that like some of what they're saying is wrong, but like, no, it's not that good. It's not that good. Like, yeah, we have this idyllic view of like the agrarian community, but nah, yeah, it's wonderful, but it's not that great. And it's
sorry. One last thing about exactly that, which is that, so people talk about how much it sucks to like die in your 40s, which is also not how it works. But even if it did, right? Imagine that if you farmed and worked 17-hour work weeks, you automatically die as soon as you hit 45. You still have more free time.
Your quality of life throughout that whole period is so much better.
You just have a dope life for 45 years instead of like a kind of shitty one for like 5, and then it gets worse forever until you die with a tube up your ass. Like,
which is how I want to go out. But
well, I mean, yeah,
not most people's choice.
You know.
Yeah.
I want my butt up and the tube.
What is it? Ass up, face down.
Yeah, that is how we like to clown.
Yeah. Oh man. Please continue playing this.
They have in their head are images from children's books about like fairy tale villages, something like that, because it's just so. Go ahead.
It's like Elizabethan. I always joke that it's always the utopias are always like Elizabethan England. You know, there's always like a Renaissance fair going on at the same time.
Well, that's not true at all.
And there, now, you know, there's a kernel of truth in it. In that, when you go to Africa, when you go to really poor parts of sub-Saharan Africa, as I did the day before I saw incredible endangered monkeys, you know, you're walking through villages that don't have any electricity, and there was a church service going on. And they started singing, and I was just like, oh, it is as romantic and beautiful. And, you know, when there's not electronic radios blaring and whatever, now in that same village, infant mortality is really high.
Go ahead and
in
pause
that same village, the opportunity.
Infant mortality in that village is probably very high because there's restrictions on like normal medications that they can get. And also, nobody has a fantasy about living in Elizabethan times. That's when monarchies start developing and like start putting their boot on their people's necks and stuff. Like nobody's like, oh, I really want to go back to when the monarchy was like running things. Nobody says that.
He's confusing like fantasy novels about being dark and cold and eaten by dragons with utopias, which are last I checked different things.
Yeah. And also, I don't think this is the spokesperson for like utopias, maybe.
No, probably not.
This fucking dork. I'm just gonna say it. He looks like a dork.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, he looks just like Ty. But also, Jordan Peterson sounds like shit.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That was going to be one of the end notes. Is Jordan Peterson is dying?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think the benzos have calcified his insides or something.
He's 90% benzo at this point.
I think he'd be better off if he just stayed on the benzos. I think, and hear me out, this is crazy, but I think being put into medically induced comas is bad for you.
maybe some long-term effects there. And like not only does he sound horrible, but like if you look at like the striations in his cheeks, he looks
that
rough.
motherfucker's gone.
We don't need to go
dehydrated.
back, John. Well, he'll pop up again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
so let's continue with this clip. It's 5 minutes, and we've only gotten through 3 of it basically.
But while we listen to it, just imagine gray beef jerky.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's okay.
It's rough.
Gray Canadian beef jerky
are very low. Not to mention, if you're gay, I mean, you can't be gay in those villages. You know, you could be killed. So,
explain the village
people. Pause real quick. There's nothing about living in a small agrarian society that necessitates you can't be gay.
Right.
Yeah.
There's historical evidence of like Native American tribes being like, "Oh, you're gay, whatever, we don't care."
Look, you can't be in a village and be like some kind of fucking twin spirit or something.
Yeah, you can't be in a village and nobody like when you live in really tight-knit communities, you don't want to kill off like one of the valuable members of your community usually.
Yeah, but what if your neighbor tries to kiss you?
Right. Well, I'm probably gonna let it happen, honestly. But
same.
That's his
yeah.
But like, when you live in tight knit communities, like that's like the whole purpose of like the identity politic communities that like form is they they don't have a tight knit community, and so they need to create their own tight knit community. But also just like the basic idea that like you don't want to kill your fucking neighbor usually.
Yeah. Also, another important bit to point out about a lot of these like kind of cyclical societies that are more subsistence related is that oftentimes like the Inuit, I believe this is one of the examples, but during wintertime there was a period where it was a little bit more focused on the women being in charge, and there was a lot of like mate swapping involved. So I feel like, you know, if you want to fuck around and fuck, you know, someone other than who you usually fuck, if you want to fuck around and find out, then, you know, a lot of these societies are probably pretty friendly to it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
they didn't really care.
Yeah, with 17-hour work weeks, they got to find something.
Yeah, you got to find some new way to jerk off using a body.
You got to find something to do. Am I right?
Yeah, and you're not going to kill a guy that's going to suck your dick in the bushes.
Yeah. Full disclosure, when we start our commune, it's going to be a weird sex cult. So sorry.
I actually don't want it to become a weird sex cult.
Well, no, it's gonna be weird sex cult, but it's gonna be like most sex cults. No one is allowed to have sex except for the leaders.
Oh.
Who have sex with everyone.
Yeah, I don't want that either.
And then we're gonna store a bunch of guns in the basement with the kids.
You keep them both in a safe place.
You do.
Yeah.
The guns keep the kids safe,
just
and the
like
kids keep the guns safe.
As the official
we suck our dicks
head,
in the bushes.
as the official head, if you know what I mean, as the official head of the Benzo Rehab commune, it's not a sex cult.
Yeah, well, you say that now.
Yeah,
I do say that now.
Yeah.
Let's continue this clip.
But absolutely, the stuff that you gain has been completely forgotten and nobody remembers it. I wouldn't have known it had I not been a radical socialist in my teenage years and went to Nicaragua to help the Sandinistas. I worked in Brazil to help the anarchist landless workers movement. And, you know, you would meet young people and you'd start talking to them and they'd be like, hey, how do I get to the city? Yeah. And it would be like, you'd be like, well, we're trying to create a workers cooperative here. And be like, yeah, man, I just want to get to the university in the city. Can you figure out how I can do that? And that changed me. And working alongside folks that are clearing rain for us.
Some people wanted to go places.
Yeah. So he's using this very limited, like, oh, I talked to a couple of folks in Nicaragua and they wanted to go to the city. And it's like, okay, first off, does people wanting to go to the city mean that going to the city is valid in the first place? No. People want all sorts of things, and that doesn't mean that they want the right things.
I mean, yeah, all I know is that, like, teenagers are notorious for not wanting to go to cities or go to college.
Yeah.
They would never want to do those things.
Well,
that's
teenagers
very abnormal
are
and weird.
Usually incredibly wise people, right?
Also true. Yeah.
So
well, it's like the ways that you realize a storm is coming, you need to get out of town, are the scar in your leg starts aching, and then the birds all fly away, and then the teenagers start going to college. Those three things happen. Man, that's the second time I've done that. I'm very proud.
Yeah. No,
the spit takes.
It was a scar on the leg thing, just like the like old folkian, like the burr in my bones is hurting and I think the storms are coming kind of mentality.
Well, that's
because I completely agree with that mentality, and I think it's valid, but I don't hear it often, so it took me by surprise.
Yeah, no, I legitimately say that because I actually do have a bunch of scar tissue in my leg, and it does. I believe it does it. I don't know if it's real or not.
I can tell the barometric pressure of what the local area like weather is because I wake up and I'm like, oh god, my fucking back again.
Right. But those are the three signs: is the scar hurts, the birds fly away, and then the teenagers go to college. Right. And you know your city is fucked.
It wasn't as much of a spit take as last time, at least.
Well, it's the shock is the important part.
Please continue this clip.
So, do you think maybe the chemical peel that they use to revive Jordan Peterson?
Oh, I have no idea what the fuck
is
going on with him.
is like wearing off, you know?
He looks like shitty leather.
Yeah, like the last time I remember seeing him when he was in that weird I don't know French mime fucking shirt.
Yeah.
He was like gooey.
Right.
So fucking shiny, like some
now,
of
now he's sinewy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's eyes are out of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a chiaroscuro thing going on too, where his eyes are sunken into pure shadow and just just weird Rembrandt levels of shadow going on with his body. It's
sure.
kind of, he's dying.
He's dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means he'll be dead in 300 years, but
yeah.
Continue.
Oh, yeah, that's fun. I picked rocks when I was a kid. I've tried to take stumps out of the ground. You do that for a week or two and just see how far you get. Picking rocks out of a field.
Oh, so this is another thing too. Do these people not realize that in this modern fucking world that there are still people? I literally fucking spent half my week last week picking rocks out of a fucking field.
I unironically, I got to use equipment and it was for a friend, but I helped a friend's mom remove a tree stump 2 months ago.
These things
still all the time.
Yeah, because there are still trees and rocks.
and that's actually some people's entire job is doing that. So he says, "Oh yeah, you try to do that for a week and see how far you get." Well, what happens is you get rid of the stump and you get rid of the rocks and you move on to the next job.
You just try to paint fascia and to wash dishes in a restaurant where everybody hates you in front of
dishes just keep coming back. Why bother brushing your teeth, doctor? They're just gonna get dirty again, right? You're just gonna have to do it over and over again.
Why clean my room? There's so many rocks in here.
Please continue. We're almost done.
Home stretch.
That's quite the entertaining work. So
yeah, it makes you much more grateful for not just your own life, but also for this incredible process that we call development, and which is really just urbanization and industrialization. So I wanted Apocalypse Never to sort of remind people, introduce that reality to people, and also to see that it's not the case where the picture people have is that you industrialize and then you destroy nature. No, it's subsistence culture at the forest frontier, which is driving the destruction of critical habitat.
And that means poverty. Isn't that so cool, though? Isn't that so cool when you step?
But he did. I didn't hallucinate him saying that subsistence farming is the forefront of destroying nature.
So
he's talking about the slash and burn.
I have a link.
He's doing it.
I have a link 4 back from where we are now. I think it's food up at the top. Food waste in the U.S. Could you zoom in?
Yes.
Okay. Scroll down just a little bit. A little bit more. A little bit more. All right, right there. How much food waste is there in the United States? Each year, 108 billion pounds of food is wasted in the United States. This is industrial farming.
Right.
That
And just
equates to
grocery
more
stores are
than
awful.
$160 billion worth of food thrown away each year. Shockingly, nearly 40% of all food in America is wasted. So he wants to say, subsistence farming is where the real waste is.
Who would want to subsist?
Yeah, who just want to subsist and do normal, regular farming that sustains a community when we can throw away 108 billion pounds of food waste each year?
Yeah, I want to engorge myself so much that I become sick and disgusted of food and throw 40% of it away.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to be happy about our level of industrialization until 5 or 6 meals a day each person eats an ortolan bunting while covering their face from God. That's what I want to happen. A good smear of foie gras on top of that. But Yeah. So one of the things that they're starting to get into in this Peterson thing with the like, we need to industrialize everything and it'll actually save nature.
It'll be better for real.
Insane. The Deepesh Chakrabarty has this really great essay called Four Theses on the Climate of History, I think, where he takes this kind of like admittedly a little bit too Hegelian approach to talking about like climate change and development.
Yeah.
And he makes a really salient and honestly kind of obvious point that people don't consider, which is that if we we're in a puzzle now where we want a lot of the world to continue developing in a certain sense so that people are able to kind of manage and stop being abused by other developed parts of the world. But if we allow or cause or force this kind of quote unquote development, it will lead to a type of climate catastrophe which is far beyond what we ourselves have been able to do with the amount of development that we have produced inside of our part of the world. And so it's like, yeah, no. Like, right. What do you even do with that? Where it's just if suddenly every place becomes New York, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead before that happens.
Industrialization re-territorializes spaces to become purely industrialized. Spoiler alert, you can't fucking drink or eat oil to live. You need to have agricultural spaces, and the more we industrialize, necessarily we are removing agricultural development capability from that area. Because as we talked about in the concrete and buildings episode, anytime we fucking throw concrete on top of something, we've destroyed that land effectively.
Yeah. And it's it's just going to be a concrete sterilized biosphere with no life on it. But like, at least we were able to transition all the rest of our crops to tobacco and corn.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. Let's go back to the Instagram with Jordan
back
Peterson.
And look at it. It's like,
yeah, let's just roll it.
Oh, poverty is causing a tremendous amount of environmental damage. So, if we could make people rich and make things better biologically, let's say, more sustainable, and actually the way to do the latter is to do the former. Make people rich as fast as you possibly can. Then they start to care. It's like,
absolutely.
And then you say that to people, it's like resistance. It's like, oh, I see. You don't want people to be rich on a healthy planet. So what's up with you exactly? If that's bugging you, what's going on? Because that's a good goal. And
how does this guy just like forget what Pareto distributions are at will while he does so much talking about them? Sorry, John, what were you saying?
Oh no, I don't remember, but
it's such a bad point.
Yeah,
you don't want people to be rich on a healthy planet. Well, yeah, actually, one thing is actually destroying the other. You can't have a lot of rich people and a healthy planet. You can't have a lot of people with more resources than they need and have a healthy planet at the same time. That's like a contradiction there.
Yeah.
You also can't have everyone, like if you're in a capitalist system, and I don't mean like a mercantile system or any kind of system that has like trade or markets, obviously. But when you have a system where there are people that own means of production and people that don't, you're never going to reach a point where everyone is rich.
Exactly.
That is an absolute. He's making shit up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's not for like an expansion of the minimum wage or anything like that to help more people be rich.
He wants to get everyone involved in the same machinery into a point where we have this like hyperinflation thing going on. Like that's what we want. It's
roll the last bit.
All the smart environmentalists I've talked to, Lomborg is like at the pinnacle of that in many ways. They all come to that conclusion. And Marion Tupy as well. It's like, well, no, if you look at what happens, you educate women, birth rate plummets, and that'll actually be a problem in 100 years because there won't be enough people rather than too many. But that happens instantly, even in one generation. And so that's the solution to population control, assuming we needed that. And so that's in alignment with.
Wait, so should we not educate women now?
I think that's kind of what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, oof, buddy.
Yeah, it's I mean, it is every feminist's goal to get women educated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With every feminist's goal. And then as you get people out of this slash and burn agricultural cycle, well, they start to be more efficient in their use of resources, and they're not living hand to mouth. And so you make people rich and they become environmentalists. It's like, okay, that isn't what we've been told, but that's how it works.
The three main characters
you know,
are burning.
Yeah, living paycheck to paycheck is very different from living hand to mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally different things.
So that's all I had for us this evening. I don't know if we want to go any deeper into that. Probably not.
Share with your friends. Take my medicine.
Oh man, you did all the fucking things before. If you love this podcast, please donate to the Patreon. Patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. Dorian, do you have anything to pitch?
Yeah, over the weekend, I am going to be making a lot of the lectures on the Patreon free and public.
Okay.
I'm going to put out a list of which ones those are, but just so people know. Yeah. That'll be announced sometime before Monday, and I'll give details on my my Instagram, Tank to Lose. But otherwise, you can just, there are already actually some that are free and public on there. So patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. In other words, we're still doing our thing every Saturday. We've been having more people coming in from the Benzo Rehab, or I assume they're coming from that. And I appreciate that. And again, if you can't afford to pay, or if you just don't want to, just hit one of us up and we'll include you.
Yeah. All right. Well, as always, we love you. Please take your medicine.
Please take mine too.
Make sure to share with your friends.